A method actor told Clint Eastwood, "My artistic process can't be rushed," after showing up late for the third day. What Clint did next, in front of the entire crew, became legendary in Hollywood. It was October 1992, on the set of Unforgiven, in the remote Alberta Badlands of Canada. Clint Eastwood was directing and starring in what would become one of his most critically acclaimed films, a revisionist western that would win 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. The production was tight, disciplined, and running slightly ahead of schedule. That was exactly how Clint had built his reputation as a director who respected budgets, valued crew time, and finished films efficiently without sacrificing quality. His sets were known for being professional, focused, and drama-free. Then they hired someone we'll call Derek Matthews. Matthews was a respected stage actor from New York who had recently gained attention for an intense performance in an off-Broadway production. He'd studied at prestigious acting programs, trained in various method techniques, and considered himself a serious artist. His agent pushed hard to get him a supporting role in Clint's film, a key character who appeared in several important scenes. Clint's casting director had reservations. "He's talented," she told Clint, "but he has a reputation for being difficult, very method, very particular about his process." "How difficult?" Clint asked. "He once spent 3 months living homeless for a role, refuses to break character between takes, that kind of thing." Clint considered this. He appreciated actors who took their craft seriously, but he also knew there was a difference between dedication and self-indulgence. "Give him the part," Clint decided, "but make sure he understands how we work here." Matthews signed the contract, arrived in Alberta, and attended the first production meeting. Clint laid out his expectations clearly: 6 a.m. call times when scheduled, professionalism on set, efficiency in shooting. The crew worked hard, and Clint expected actors to match that energy. Matthews nodded through the meeting but seemed distracted, as if the logistics of filmmaking were beneath him. He was here to create art, not punch a time clock. The first day Matthews was scheduled to shoot was a Monday. Call time was 6:00 a.m. The location was a remote ranch an hour from base camp, and the morning light was crucial for the scene they needed to film. At 6:00 a.m., the crew was ready. Cameras positioned perfectly, lights set to capture the golden morning glow. Other actors were already in costume and makeup, having been in the chair since 5:00 a.m. Clint sat in his director's chair reviewing the shot list, mentally rehearsing the day's work. The entire machine was oiled and ready to run. But Derek Matthews' trailer door remained closed, dark, silent. At 6:30, the first assistant director knocked politely. No answer. At 6:45, he knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing. The crew began shifting uncomfortably, checking watches, whispering. This wasn't how Clint Eastwood sets worked. At 7:00 a.m., after multiple attempts, Matthews finally opened the door. He was still in his street clothes, hair uncombed, looking annoyed at being disturbed rather than embarrassed about being late. "I'm preparing," Matthews said, his tone suggesting the AD was interrupting something sacred. "My process requires deep internal work before I can inhabit the character. This can't be rushed. This isn't some sitcom where you just put on a costume and say lines. This is serious acting." The AD explained they were losing the morning light, and that the entire crew was waiting. "Art doesn't work on a schedule," Matthews replied and closed the door. Clint, informed of the situation, made a decision. "We'll shoot around him, move to scene 14. The crew scrambled to reposition for a different scene, losing valuable time and the perfect morning light they had specifically scheduled for Matthews' scene. By the time Matthews emerged at 8:30 a.m., ready to work, they had lost 2.5 hours. Clint said nothing. He simply adjusted the shooting schedule, got Matthews through his scenes efficiently, and moved on. But he was watching. The second day Matthews was scheduled. The call time was again 6:00 a.m. for the same crucial reasons. Same remote location. Different scene, but equally dependent on morning light. The same 75 crew members had woken up at 4:30 a.m. to be ready on time. At 6:00 a.m., Matthews' trailer was dark and silent. At 6:30, still dark. The crew was visibly frustrated now. Yesterday had been bad enough, but a pattern was emerging. At 7:00 a.m., the AD knocked again, with less patience than the day before. Matthews answered wearing a bathrobe, sipping coffee as if he were on vacation. "I told you yesterday," Matthews said, irritation clear in his voice, as if the AD were the problem. "My artistic process requires time. I need to meditate, to center myself, to find the character's emotional truth. This isn't television where you just show up and hit marks. This is cinema. This is art." "We have 75 people waiting," the AD said carefully. "Then they'll learn patience," Matthews replied. "Great performances can't be manufactured on an assembly line." He finally emerged at 8:45 a.m., over 2.5 hours late again. When the AD explained they'd have to skip his scene and shoot it later, losing another perfect lighting window, Matthews shrugged. "If the light isn't right, the light isn't right," he said, as if this vindicated his lateness rather than being caused by it. Clint watched this unfold from his director's chair. He said nothing. He adjusted the schedule again, shot what they could, and noted the pattern. That evening, Clint's producer approached him. "We need to talk about Matthews. 2 days, 2 major delays. We're losing budget and schedule." "I'm aware," Clint said. "Should we warn him, threaten to fire him?" "No threats," Clint said. "One more day, let's see if this is who he is." The third day Matthews was scheduled was critical. It was his biggest scene, a dramatic confrontation requiring precise timing, complex camera movement, and specific natural light they'd get for maybe 90 minutes at most. Extra crew had been scheduled. Additional equipment brought in. Multiple departments coordinated around this shoot. Call time was 6:00 a.m. sharp. At 5:45 a.m. the entire crew was ready. Actors in position, cameras prepped, lights set, sound rolling. Everyone waiting for Derek Matthews. At 6:00 a.m. his trailer was closed. At 6:15 still closed. At 6:30 the AD knocked. No answer. At 6:45 louder knocking. Nothing. Clint stood up from his director's chair and walked over to Matthews' trailer himself. The entire crew watched. Clint directing was usually invisible, quiet, efficient. Him walking across the set to personally address an actor meant something significant was happening. Clint knocked on the trailer door. 3 sharp raps that echoed across the quiet set. After a long moment, Matthews opened the door. He was in his bathrobe again, holding a cup of tea, looking annoyed at the interruption. "We're ready for you," Clint said quietly. "I'm preparing," Matthews replied. "My artistic process can't be rushed. I need to access deep emotional memories for this scene. It takes time." "What time was your call?" Clint interrupted, his voice still quiet but with an edge. "Call times are administrative conveniences," Matthews said, launching into a prepared speech. "Real acting requires going places that can't be scheduled. I'm not some television actor who hits marks and delivers lines. I'm creating a character from the inside out." "What time?" Clint repeated. Matthews blinked. 6, but... "It's 7, Clint said, each word deliberate. "You're an hour late, 3rd day in a row. 75 people have been waiting for you. People who got here on time despite having the same early call you did." "Great art requires sacrifice," Matthews said, recovering his confidence. "Those people are being paid to wait. That's their job. My job is to create something transcendent." "Pack your things," Clint said. Matthews stopped mid-sentence. "Excuse me." Pack your things, Clint repeated. You're fired. There's a car waiting to take you back to Los Angeles. You have 30 minutes to be out. The entire crew went silent. Matthews laughed nervously. You can't fire me. We're in the middle of production. You need me. No, Clint said. We need someone professional, someone who respects other people's time, someone who understands that filmmaking is collaborative. That's not you. This is insane, Matthews said, his voice rising. I'm creating art here. You can't fire someone for taking their craft seriously. I'm not firing you for taking your craft seriously, Clint said. I'm firing you for being late 3 days in a row and showing no respect for the 75 professionals who have been waiting for you while you drank tea in your bathrobe. My process. Your process, Clint interrupted, involves being on set when you're supposed to be on set. If you can't do that, you can't work here. Pack your things. Matthews looked around at the crew, perhaps expecting sympathy. He found none. 75 people who had been up since 4:30 a.m., who had driven an hour to this location, who had been ready to work, just stared back at him. You're making a huge mistake, Matthews said. I'm the best actor you'll ever work with. You're letting ego destroy what could have been, he continued. 30 minutes, Clint said, cutting him off and walked back to his chair. Matthews stood in the doorway a moment longer, waiting for Clint to change his mind. He didn't. Finally, Matthews went back inside and slammed the door. Clint turned to his first assistant director. Call the actor we screen tested who came in second. See if he can be here tomorrow. Reschedule Matthews' scenes for next week. Then he addressed the crew. We're moving to scene 22. Let's not waste the morning. The crew erupted into activity, grateful to be working instead of waiting. Some smiled. A few tried not to laugh. Within 25 minutes, Derek Matthews emerged with his bags. A production van waited to take him back to Los Angeles. He climbed in without speaking to anyone and left. Clint didn't watch him go. He was already focused on the next shot. The story spread through Hollywood before Matthews' van reached the airport. Clint Eastwood fired an actor for being late and citing artistic process. It was industry talk within hours. By the next day, it was in the trades. Matthews' agent tried to spin it as creative differences, but too many crew members had witnessed the truth. Matthews had been fired for being unprofessional and hiding behind artistic process as an excuse. The impact on his career was immediate. Directors lost interest. Producers asked about reliability. Studios quietly put him on difficult actor lists. Within a year, Matthews was back in regional theater. His promising film career was over, undone by 3 late arrivals and 1 conversation with Clint Eastwood. The actor Clint hired to replace him showed up 15 minutes early every day, knew his lines perfectly, and delivered an excellent performance that contributed to the film's success. Unforgiven went on to win 4 Academy Awards. Clint won Best Director and Best Picture. The film is now considered one of the greatest westerns ever made. Derek Matthews is remembered when he's remembered at all, as the actor who was fired from Unforgiven for showing up late and lecturing Clint Eastwood about artistic process. Years later, Clint was asked about the incident. His response was brief. Film sets require discipline, not because of authoritarian philosophy, but because hundreds of people are coordinating complex work. When one person decides their process matters more than everyone else's time, they're not an artist. They're just selfish. The crew members tell it more simply. 75 people ready at 6 a.m. 3 days of lost morning light. An actor meditating in a bathrobe while everyone else waited. And a director who didn't yell, didn't argue, didn't negotiate. He simply drew a line. Professionalism matters. Art doesn't excuse disrespect. And showing up late while everyone else is ready is a career mistake you only get to make once. If this story of accountability and respect resonated with you, share it with someone who needs the reminder. Have you ever seen someone confuse self-indulgence with dedication? Share your story in the comments.